Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on THEOSOPHIA, I'm proud to bring you Lynne Miceli of Edgar Cayce's ARE in New York City, and we're going to have a wonderful show. Greetings, Lynne.
Thank you, Hercules.
Thank you.
Okay, my guest tonight is Hillis Pugh, a psychic, healer, author, teacher, and speaker. Welcome, Hillis.
Hello, Lynn. Such a pleasure to connect with you. I know we've been connected through the ARE for quite some time, so I'm glad to reconnect with you this evening.
We've been connected for a long time, but I realized that there were things I didn't know, so I'm looking forward to learning them tonight. So, according to your website, Hillis, you're a rare Syrian Lemurian lineage teacher, and you serve as an omni-resonance architect, empowering souls through your innate gifts. The website also says Hillis is the author of Awaken with Gratitude, a blog and book of channeled inspirational stories and original poetry, which poses essential questions and provides illuminating answers on how we can truly open our minds to experience the profound gift of gratitude in every waking moment. So Hillis believes deeply that recognizing gratitude allows an abundant flow of love and prosperity in our lives. He's also an Usui Reiki practitioner, a certified psychic, and one of the practitioners who works through the New York Edgar Cayce Center's psychic portal, which is how we know each other. So Hillis, thank you again for being here tonight. Your website describes you as a Syrian-Lemurian lineage teacher. So that's not Syria with a Y, that's Sirian. So first of all, what does that mean? For anybody in our audience who isn't familiar, could you explain what Lemuria was or is?
So Lemuria, also known as Mu, depending on who you talk to, because I have studied and still study the works of James Churchward, so he refers to Lemuria as Mu. So this just really depends on who you talk to. But this was the first civilization on the planet. And this civilization brought in this great information of wisdom, knowledge to be of service to humanity, to be of service to not only share the galactic wisdom, but also ways that we can innately heal the body, innately really connect to that space. And so with that, the information that I have been allowed to share rather, is to be of service to humanity in such a way that we can begin to remember who we are at a soul level.
And how did you make this connection with Lemuria? Is it through, you said, I think you mentioned study, is it also through psychic means that you've connected?
Well, you know how it works. When something's in your field, it's in your field, and then when you get to a particular place where you are in that resonance, it just shows up, right? And so when I was getting ready to pursue my level 2 Usui Reiki certificate, I found this teacher on Facebook, and there was an abundant list of things that the Syrian Lemurian energy, this attunement does, and this is what I was looking for. Something that was in greater awareness, more in alignment with what I believe as an individual, and not withholding anything from anyone. It was more about receiving this knowledge, if you will, and then being able to utilize it to be of service to other people and to help people in a way that I couldn't if I was just, okay, I'm at level 1, okay, then I gotta wait to level 2, now we're to level 3. This was almost like an all-in-one deal. And so it was in my awareness where this came through. And I've always had an affinity for lost lands, if you will, for energy that was potent and that really allowed me to express myself with humanity, with the gifts, with all that I know here in my heart and here in my mind that I resonated with. And so that just allowed me to step into that space effortlessly.
And the Syrian part of it, now we're not talking about the nation of Syria, but we're talking about the star Sirius, is that correct?
Yes, A, B, and C to be exact.
Sirius A, there are 3 Siriuses?
Yes, B is the largest that people know about the most. A is about half the size of B, and C is a dwarf planet. And if you do research through James Churchward, through some of the Dogon tribe practices, they are the longest living civilization on the planet, aside from some of the indigenous cultures here in North America and in South America that hold this information of Sirius. Because if you look to to larger structures, to the Mesolithic structures, and how they always orient their with their opportunities to view Sirius, they always orient their structures in alignment with the planet Sirius. And with the Dogon tribe, the Syrians, their star brothers, if you will, the star brothers and sisters actually visited them in ancient times. And this is how the science of today is able to confirm what the Dogons knew centuries ago. And actually, it wasn't until the 1990s where Sirius C was confirmed by astronomers. And so this was just baffling that this ancient tribe, which still holds this information and wisdom and pass it through verbally, knew all this existed.
And so what does that add to, what do you bring to your work from the Syrian connection?
Well, with the Syrian connection, it's understanding how galactic energy works. Because as I channel energy galactically. I channel energy through earth means. I channel energy in all sorts of ways, the visible and invisible light spectrums. And with this ability to channel both seen and unseen light spectrums, it really is stepping into the multi-dimensional space, really working with souls at a different level. It is really understanding everything that is around us that creates this level of coherence, this level of harmony through the energetic magnetism that exists because of how the energetic magnetism of Sirius, all three A, B, and C, affects the whole entire galactic system. And when you understand the magnetic pull and push, and really understand even how it affects the body, because if I'm not able to have my channels of meridians, my chakras, all the energetic systems to be clear, I can't channel energy properly to assist those who are asking, who steps in my path to be of service.
And so again, how did you I'm other than reading about the Dogon people, which I have heard about that before, and that's fascinating.
Mhm.
How did you make this connection to this energy? Is it from the teachings of the Dogon people, or does it go beyond that?
It actually it's in the it goes beyond that, but it also brings it back to that. And it's almost like a circle, if you will. It's because of the teacher that I found on Facebook who was teaching this Syrian Lemurian energy. And I made a connection to that because of what I felt in my heart in the space of resonance, what it was that I was meant to do. Because right now I'm only the second teacher on the planet that is teaching this specific modality. No one else other than the person who taught me is teaching this. And it's just an essence of bringing awareness to not just this practice, but to the energetic levels, the dimensional spaces that we allow ourselves to really connect to, that lives within us, to really activate and remember who we are.
So it's the same teacher for the Syrian and the Lemurian energies, and
Yes,
there's only 2 of you now on the planet. So
yes.
that being the case, uh, it seems like there would be a responsibility to train somebody else.
Oh no, I'm in the process. I have a few students presently who are walking the path of this attunement. And what's interesting about this is as I teach people, as I show people this, there are there's another space of information that comes in, an abundance of information. Because right now I'm also in the beginnings of creating what is now called the Omni Order, which is really stepping into the space of combining what we know of ancient Egypt, combining of what we know of the indigenous shamans, combining what I know of the Siddhis or the cities of no Siddhi, that's how it's pronounced, of India. You know, these indigenous masters across different cultures and how they all taught the same thing, but in different ways. And so part of my path is to really understand these paths, bring it into one, and then allow for that now to be open path for anyone who wants to learn how to do what I do and go beyond that. Because as Jesus taught this, he says that you as an individual, as humanity, you can do what I can do, but greater. So this is part of my purpose, is to learn this and to assist people to go beyond what I know.
So you also on your website, you say that you call your role in some of the work that you do an omni, you explained about omni a little bit, an omni resonance architect. That is
Yeah.
something I've never heard anybody else say before. What does that mean?
So as
Maybe you can break that down for us.
yes, so we all know what omni means: omnipresent, omnipotent. We know that that is reference to the all, to the source, creator, universal energy. We understand that. We know that. And with the understanding of having this connection to the all, because we all have, as individuals, have a connection to divine source, creator, whether we believe it or not. You know, it's all about perception. It's all about belief. It's all, you know, what you feel your connection is. Personally speak, I know that I am connected to divine source. I know that I am a part of divine source. I know that I am a reflection of divine source energy. So in that space of reflection, I allow myself to embody and connect to that in my service, in my practice. And then moving into the next one, resonance is the vibrational resonance, the frequency in which we all live. You know, because we all vibrate at different frequencies, oscillating between lower and higher frequencies. And with this level of oscillation and level of really beginning to understand what is resonating with us. Why am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? It's all about the resonance and frequency we are embodying at that particular moment. And with the word architect, I assist people in creating a new foundation. You know, it's tearing down the old and build up the new, creating a strong foundation for them to renew themselves, to build a better life, to have a better life with them at a soul level. Because I work with individuals at a soul level. Because once you work at the source, the soul, you then can begin to embody that in the physical space.
And so, is the omni-resonance architect something that is part of the Syrian Lemurian teaching, or is it you taking the Syrian Lemurian teaching and formatting it in your way?
Yes, it's me evolving that. It's me evolving the current teachings into a new way of being of service, really beginning to embody that energy, really beginning to step into this leadership capacity at another level to honor the energy that I allow myself to receive to be of service.
When was it that you found this teacher, this Syrian Lemurian teacher? I think that's very intriguing.
Oh, geez. Maybe around 2014, 2015, 16, somewhere around in there. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
And you've also studied at, you're a certified psychic through the Holistic Institute.
Yes, Holistic Studies Institute, founded by Stephen Robinson, and may his soul rest in peace. I know that he transitioned, I think it was late last year, I think it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I did not know him, but I heard quite a bit about him.
Yeah, I loved him. He was
Yeah.
an amazing teacher. Or it still is.
Well, yeah, probably teaching elsewhere now.
In spirit, yes.
So this is all fairly unique. You know, I haven't heard well, obviously, since you're only one of two practitioners, we haven't heard other people talk about some of these things. When you do a session with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
say a psychic session,
Mm-hmm.
how tell us a little bit about how that would work. I mean, do you sometimes just do an ordinary psychic reading, or is there always some of the architectural work involved, or how? Tell me that.
Well, Lynn, if as you move through this, and as you know, things blend together as you learn tools. You have a toolbox, to loosely speak. And when you have this toolbox, you have things you can always reference, but everything always blends together. So when
Right.
doing a session, in the beginning, was a bit challenging because I was just learning about my clairaudience, which is my primary clair that I use to connect with spirit. But as things evolve, you say, okay, well, what tool can I use this? You always go to the primary first because the primary is the one that opens the door, right? And then as I move through this energetic space, it is then me beginning to understand, well, I can feel the presence of this being, I can feel the presence of that being, I can hear them. And then once I sense them, hear them, connect with them, open up dimensional spaces to really create a sacred space to commune with the spirit that is living, commune with the soul that is still alive, present. And it's just really understanding this energetic exchange. And it's not just reading per se anymore. It's about a relationship. It's about this continual relationship, this vibration of energy that is this bridge. And sometimes I feel I am this bridge between the deceased soul and the living soul, for them to commune, to assist in unresolved issues, to share the people who want to clear their grief, people who want to clear their trauma. And everything that I do goes hand in hand. Nothing is actually separate anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and you're also a Usui Reiki practitioner, and of course that gets blended in too, I imagine.
Well, actually, yeah, it blends in, but it was actually when I got my certification from the Holistic Studies Institute, I was like, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? We always want that something more. And so that's when I got my level 1 Usui Reiki. I was going to Reiki circles, Reiki shares, all the stuff to really practice. And that's when I discovered there's something more for me to do. And so when I got my level 1, it was in the space of, well, I know that there's more. And I practiced it. I learned how to channel and how to do the proper things. But when I got my Syrian Lemurian attunement, that's when that overrode my Usui practice, because it's just was more information. It was a larger tool for my toolbox, so to speak.
But it sounds like you had some gifts. You're talking about clairaudience being your opening the door kind of gift. It sounds like you had some of these gifts before you studied anything.
Oh
Were,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had premonitions as a child. I used to see spirits as a child. So I mean, there was these things that were always present, but they were never honed or utilized properly.
Was that were you the only one in your family who had that, or is it like a familial thing?
To my knowledge, I was the only one who actively spoke of it. I mean, growing up in a Baptist family, and going to a Catholic school and all these things, um, there's just this in the information of like, well, yeah, this happened and yeah, that happened, but no one openly talked about it. And so it's just one of those things that kind of went to the wayside until it couldn't be ignored anymore.
Was it hard for you? Did you I know many people who have psychic ability kind of suppress it because other people say, well, it's your imagination. It's not important or something like that.
Well, it wasn't necessarily suppressed or ignored. It just didn't come up. The only
Uh,
time when it came up is when, more prominent when I was a child, I saw spirit all the time. And then it didn't really, had deja vus a lot as a teenager. I had premonitions, but nothing of significance until the passing of my grandmother. When I
uh,
had the dream of the passing of my grandmother, that's when things really became more significant for me, which was back in 2008 when she made her transition. But I believe it was, no, was it 2000? It was about a year or two before her passing when I had the premonition. So that's one thing about being psychic is that you don't know, especially with premonitions, especially if you're in the dream state, you don't know when things are occur because, as we all know, time isn't linear. So we
mm,
just, have to think, well, this is going to happen eventually. I don't know when, but it's
yes.
just one of those things.
So let's also talk about your blog and the book, Awaken with Gratitude.
Hmm. So that was, there's always these pivotal moments in all our lives, right? And this was a pivotal moment for me back in 2008 when I began this journey, because this is actually how everything started, was with gratitude. We have a before Hillis and an after Hillis. 2008 was my defining life moment. And it was then when, I was laid off from my job. My business wasn't doing so well. Had to have a part-time job just to make ends meet, relationship. It was like everything that you can think of happened.
Mm,
And it was in that space where I had to allow myself to dig deep, quote unquote, to really understand the power of gratitude, to really begin to see that gratitude wasn't just a word, it wasn't just something that you said in hindsight, just by saying thank you and please. It wasn't just one of those things you brush off. I have a reverence for the appreciation of life. That gave me that. And with that level of reverence, I created the Thank You Thursday blog, which I wrote every week for about 3 or 4 years and turned those writings into a book that expressed my personal observations of everyday life, because we often, have what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, we often go through life being ungrateful, so to speak. And for those little things, for the towel and having a toothbrush and having a place to live and having gas in the car. It's like the things that we do on automatic pilot, we don't think about because we take it for granted. That's the word I was looking for, because it's just there. And
mm.
with that experience, it taught me that even though something is present, just because something is there doesn't mean you can take it for granted. Just like in the work that I do, I don't do anything without having someone's permission, because it's their space, it's their energy. I don't want to take you for granted. I don't want to take what I do for granted. And so it's that level of appreciation that I have in all my work and working with everyone.
So it was a weekly blog about your unfolding appreciation for life, and then it became a book.
Yes, exactly. With my original right thoughts and poetry.
Very nice.
Yeah,
So how did go ahead?
poetry will always be my first love. I started writing poetry in high school and was doing open mics in and around Chicago when I lived there. So yeah, I mean, till this day, poetry is always one of my creative outlets.
Beautiful. So how did you connect with the Edgar Casey organization?
That's one thing been trying to scratch my head. It's been so long, I don't remember. I just know that it was after I got my certification at the Holistic Studies Institute, and I know that there was a connection between that and there, with Stephen and then with Maria, who was head at the director at the time, and her and I connected, and she brought me in, and I was just doing the in-person monthly volunteer readings. I was almost like a fixture there for a long time. I was there doing seminars and workshops and everything. And so it was, I want to say, I honestly want to say, I believe it was by way of Steven connecting me with Maria somehow, some kind of way. I don't remember exactly, but that's what I feel.
And do you have any courses or workshops or events coming up that you want to talk about?
Oh my goodness. This has been a busy season. I know I don't have anything virtually at the moment. Everything that I have right now is in person. So anyone who's watching this, if you live in Florida, I'm going to be at a networking event, doing a panel for this platform called Healerverse, which is an amazing platform with Trish Kane, amazing woman who put all of this together. That's going to be in Delray Beach. You can find the information to that in my link. Well, all my links are, it's going to be in the description. And then also going to be doing an in-person workshop seminar in Fort Lauderdale in November as well, teaching about the law of vibration and the symbiotic relationship with gratitude, and that's called Vibrate to Love. The details for that aren't available yet, but as soon as they become available, I'll let everyone know. But I love teaching that because it's through my own personal practice, through my own personal experiences that I understand the energy of the law of vibration. Everyone talks about the law of attraction, but no one talks about the law of vibration, where the law of attraction comes from. And so it just really helps me to give people more wisdom and insight for them to grasp from.
So talk about the law of vibration. What should we all know about that?
So as we know, there are the 12 spiritual laws. And the third and immutable spiritual law is the law of vibration. Because everything vibrates, nothing rests. Just like the chair that I'm sitting on, it's vibrating, but it's vibrating so slow that I can see it in this reality. Anything that has a denser vibration, we can see in 3D. But anything that is quicker to vibrate, such as the unseen, the light spectrum, the vibrational forces, the frequencies, the sounds, various light spectrums. Those we can't see because we don't have the capacity to see it. But if we were able to have our full vision, and for example, if anyone has ever seen the movie Lucy, which is one of my favorite movies, there's this scene where Scarlett Johansson is looking outside and you begin to see all the colors that she sees, from the cell phones and all the different light spectrums. And it is in that space where you begin to understand the light spectrums, the law of vibration, and how things work in resonance with our personal frequency. So the law of vibration is everything vibrates and nothing moves. And this is how the law of attraction comes about, because when we think about it, just like when you think of someone and they call you 10 minutes later, that's the law of vibration in action. It's also in the results of the manifestation. When you're in vibrational resonance with your desires, they come to manifest. And this is by being in high vibrational thought, taking high vibrational action, bringing all these things into coherence to manifest what you really want. But the missing part about this is what I teach people is, we have our thoughts, we have our words, we have our emotions, and that equals the manifestation. So when we put forth the emotional content combined with the right words and thoughts and even action, all that we want comes to fruition with grace and ease. But we have to be ready for it when it shows up. Sometimes people are in disbelief. Say, no, this can't be what I've asked for. This isn't what I asked for. It's like, well, did you really think about what you wanted? And so this is why we have to be very mindful of our thoughts, especially now as we're moving through fourth density now, eventually, in about 5-10 years into fifth density.
I'm sorry, we're going to move into what in 5, 10 years?
So right now as a collective, we're in fourth density, 4D, and in about 5-10 years, we'll be in 5D
Really?
collectively. Yeah,
Do you,
because it's all collective thought. Because right now, as an individual, I bounce between 4D, 5D, and higher, depending on my day, what I'm working on, what I'm doing, and if I'm working with a client. Just really depends on my vibrational resonance. But as a collective, we're in fourth density. And what that means is fourth density is a way station for us to get to fifth density, the space of unconditional love, kumbaya, all the feelings that we want to feel. But in order to get there, we have to let go of all our old baggage. We have to let go of all the old crap. And this is the time to do that. So anything that's not serving you, now's the time to do it, whether if it's a relationship, whether if it's a job, anything, emotions, mental space, whatever it is, it's time now to like, I'm done, I'm letting go, and I'm preparing myself to move into the space of unconditional love.
and collectively we're all going there in 5 to 10 years? I hope that's really true, but sometimes when you look around you, it seems like we're kind of going in the wrong direction in the world.
Well, that's because right now this is an unprecedented time in our reality, because because before, with the previous civilizations, with Mu, with Atlantis, with Egypt, with all these previous civilizations, there was always the destruction, and then rose another civilization, right? Right now, we are in a simultaneous destruction and construction, a creation, if you will. So everything is being torn down, the foundations of the old, and then the foundations of the new are rising as well. So that's why there appears to be this split, this illusion of this split, because people have different belief systems, different actions, different orientations. And so there's not a one singular belief on the planet, which is why you ask one person one question and you ask another person that same question, there would be two completely different answers, because there are different vibrational frequencies and resonance. So which is why there's always this oscillating frequency of energy to really begin to now it's like, what do I do with this? How do I respond to this? How do I express myself in this new form?
Well, I certainly hope we're all moving into the fifth dimension. And
We are. It's just going to take some time. I mean, like I said, there are individuals, such as myself, who bounce between 4 or 5 and higher. There are some people who are stuck in 3D. There are some people who are stuck in 4D. There are some people who are not ready to face the higher densities yet. And so, and this only comes about when you're ready, because it's not a state of to enter into fifth density and higher. It's more of a mental state. It's more about your vibrational resonance, more about your frequency, which is why I'm able to shift and move in between spaces, especially when I work with people. Because in order for me to work with people, I have to operate at a higher frequency.
so you mentioned that your teaching and your workshops are all in person, but your sessions you can do remotely, right? You work with people. How does that go?
So I work with people all over the planet. I work with people from Australia to Norway to London to New York to LA. I work with people everywhere. And so, there was something that I read a while ago. I can't remember who it was or the quote was exactly, but it was to the effect of, well, you're not really a true healer if you're not doing things in person, if you can't see someone in person. And I'm like, I don't know about that, because of the work that we do. People are now learned how to buy locate. People have learned how to do this. So there's all these things that are being remembered to utilize. And so how it works is that, to put it in simple terms, create a sacred space through guided meditation, through a soul transmission. And it is in this space where I meet with a client to assist them in clearing out abuse, trauma, PTSD, guilt, shame, all the lower vibrating energies that are stuck in their field. And it is in this space where we work together in coherence to allow for the greater purging, if you will, of the old, the greater letting go of, well, that's not working, I need to repair that relationship, I need to connect to here. So it's all these things in vibrational sync that allows for the soul of my client to work in the physical space and for me to work with him. So it's almost like a triangle, if you will. You know, working with creator source energy here at the top, and then you know, me myself here, you know, on the other point, and then the client over here at the other point, and then sometimes the three, you know, we meet in the middle of this triangle, creating a circle of energy, you know, for those that need to come into this space to assist us, whether it's creator, guides, teams, other souls that are coming in to be of service.
So do you work a lot with other, do you find that you work a lot with other guides that come into sessions and so forth?
Not necessarily mine per se. I do have mine that assist and protect me, you know, as I do this work, shield me, so to speak. But it's mostly the souls and guides of those who I work with. Because in these transmissions that I utilize galactic language, also known as light language. I utilize this to call in energy into the space, but it is the client who is doing all the heavy lifting. It is them making the transitions, the transmutations, the clearing, the letting go. It is them, not I. And this is something that's very important to understand. I am a light transmitter of this work. I bring it in, and then it's up to you, per se, Lynn, to do the work. It's like, okay, well, I'm ready to let this go. And it's interesting because sometimes, you know, in these guided meditations, these soul transmissions, their guides, their souls speak through me to express what needs to be expressed as I combine this energy with galactic language.
When you say light language or galactic language,
Mhm.
uh, are you actually speaking about a language or
Yeah,
what,
I
what
am.
are,
So for those who know about light language, you know, it is something that is utilized in when working with specific symbols. And so I work with specific symbols through the Syrian Lemurian energy that I have been given, you know, through my attunement and those that I've seen in visions that I create, or not create, but bring back into this reality to be of service to other people. And the closest thing that I can really express them as, so if you think of them as hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt, you know, where they utilized symbols and their language and how they spoke was different. And if you go back also, or further forward, so to speak, if you go to ancient Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, you know, their symbols, some of that symbology was also used in the presence of uh, clearing, healing, you know, so to speak, other people. So it's through the symbology and the enunciation of this language that brings in certain frequencies to be of service to other people. So that's what I mean by when I say light language or galactic language, because it is in that space where galactically this is where the source of this has come from. But you know, people created it or rephrased it as light language to make it simple for those to understand what it actually is.
this is really interesting. It's kind of like a whole other world that you're describing here. Well, I guess it's a world that is around all of us all the time, but we're just not aware of that.
Yeah, well, and it's important to understand the frequencies, the resonance, the oscillation of these frequencies to bring in that resonance and hold that particular vibration, which is why when I do the work that I do, I have to allow myself to be completely clear. You know, I have to be mindful of my diet, have to be mindful of my mind, have to be mindful of my thoughts and emotions, to make sure that I'm a clear vessel to be of service. And that's the most important aspect of all of this is any work that is done, whether it's to
Whoops. You've just frozen on my screen. Hillis? We just lost Hillis. Uh-oh.
If he calls back in, I'll let him in.
Okay.
His name is there still.
uh-oh.
Well,
Can you
There
hear
he is.
me?
There he is. Yes.
yeah, we just lost you well, you froze for a few minutes. I'm sorry. Go back a
Yeah.
little bit to what you were talking about.
So it's really going back to understanding, whether if you're an indigenous shaman, any indigenous cultures, to where it's a particular practice to allow yourself to be a clear vessel to be of service. And it is in the understanding of the same with the work that I do, to allow myself to be clear as well. So I know that whatever comes through is not for me, but it's for someone else. Whether if it's my psychic work, whether if it's my omni-resonance work, whatever it is, I have to make sure that I am allowing myself to be the vessel for what needs to transpire.
So your whole lifestyle is pretty much about keeping yourself clear to do the work that you do, it sounds like.
No, not always. I allow myself to have some fun. I go out dancing. Dancing helps to clear the anxiety, clear other energies, bodies that could be trapped in. I do plant medicine, because I've been a shaman's or was a shaman's assistant for about 3 years. So that was really helpful for me to understand how plant medicine works. Just it's all about keeping things in balance. I have my fun too, but I know when to have fun and I know when to be of service.
Well, dancing, I think dancing is part of being clear. Well, it depends what you're dancing to, I guess, but it does seem to me
House music all day long, dance music, house music. There's no other thing for me to dance to.
And do you also incorporate some plant medicine into the work that you do with your clients sometimes?
No, well, at least not as of yet. I am in uh, contention for this application process that I started to be a psychedelic assisted therapist because of my actual life experience. Because with most of these programs, they don't allow for someone who's not licensed to partake in it. So if I don't have a clinician's license, I typically they won't accept anyone who's not, which is why my life experience is important. I've been doing this for a while, and hopefully at some point, once I go through this program, I will be able to do this. But plant medicine has very amazing benefits. I use it uh, not religiously, but I use it frequently, but with reverence. And this is the key. When doing things in reverence, doing things with intention, as the indigenous cultures, as ancient civilizations utilize them, because just can't be all willy-nilly with stuff like this. This is potent stuff.
That's yeah, very serious stuff. You're not just making it up. You're getting trained and learning how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Going back to, you said you were teaching some students in the Syrian Lemurian approach. How what how would people get into those classes if they wanted to, and what are those classes? What can you tell us about those classes?
Well, the attunement for the Syrian Lemurian light work is an intense work. It is not for the faint of heart, if you will. It's for those who are ready to be initiated in this process. It is a 6 to 8 month process, meaning that we go through the cleaning of all your fields, of your energy systems, everything in your body, all the emotional stuff, all the mental stuff, everything that needs to be cleared for you to receive the attunement. And as we are going through this simultaneously, there is the teachings, understanding the 7 planes of existence, understanding the several light spectrums, understanding the meridian system, understanding the chakra system. It's about understanding how energy flows. It's about understanding everything about energy. And the manual itself is about 400 pages. So this is something that you have to be ready for. And when I went through this process, I mean, it's an uncovering, if you will. And for me, to be honest with you, still doing this later after I got my attunement, there's always going to be something that comes up. But now I have the tools to do it myself. It's like, oh wait, that's coming up again. So it's not like we are ever, well, at some point I wish to be completely clear. One day I will be, but it's not for anyone who's not ready to pursue this path and purpose. I mean, it takes dedication, like anything.
And about how many students are you working with right now?
Right now, I have 2 that I'm working with, and it's just beautiful to see their dedication and transformation, because this comes with transformation. This is not just something that is, oh, I'm just going to do it and be done. I mean, you have to step into this, and not everyone who applies is accepted. People have been turned away because it feels like they're not ready yet. Like, okay, if they're not ready, they're not ready. They may be ready mentally, but here in the heart, emotionally, they're not ready.
How would you how would you know that people are ready or not?
Guidance, intuitive guidance. I would ask higher source guide energy to say, hey, is this person ready? And the answer is either yes or no, because that's how it was for me. Because when my teacher said, well, the reason why it took me so long to get back to you, because I had to ask to see if you were ready. And they was like, yeah, you're ready. And I even had a reading shortly after that from the Council of Light saying, we are happy that you chose this path to bring this energy back onto the planet. I'm like, oh, okay.
The Council of Light. Tell us a little bit about the Council of Light.
Well, we all have our guides, our teams, and higher beings that, are around us. Nothing goes unseen. I'll just say that. Especially, Earth is a school. Earth is always being watched. Earth is, this space where any and all things can happen. And so the Council of Light is one of many councils that watch the planet, and this is the Council of 7. And so this Council of 7 said, well, hey, this is what we see, this is what we know, this is what we are happy that you are really connected to. And so it's just in this space of, and they don't come through often for me. They are a higher up. They're not quite guides, they're not quite masters, they're above, master. They are above what Buddha, Yeshua, or Jesus are. They're at that level. And when they come through, it's because they have something very important. And so it's just, when I don't go to them, they come to me, and I meet them where they ask me to meet.
It reminds me about the Archangel Michael with the Edgar Casey readings. Every now and then in a reading, they didn't ask for the Archangel Michael to come through, and it didn't happen very often, but every now and then the Archangel Michael would come through in a reading, and the energy would be so powerful that you talk about vibrations, the energy
Yes,
would be so
exactly.
powerful that they could hear like the dishes rattling in the cabinets and the window panes rattling, and
Yes,
everybody would end up
exactly.
dying.
I mean, that's how it is. I mean, when you have grander or larger spirits or energy that comes in, it's always going to be this dramatic shift of the space. And so that's how it is, and that's how you know. I mean, there are times where I have gone outside of my body, well, I've done it many times, But but when I travel, it's the realities that I travel to, they are very real for me in that space. And then I come back here, I'm like, wait a minute, where am I? I'm back in my body. What just happened? So it's that kind of exchange.
Now, is that intentional or is that something that just happens? I mean, leaving the body and traveling in these other dimensions or spaces.
There are times where it is intentional, especially in a lucid dream state. I mean, there are times where it is intentional. I mean, there are times where I remember, and I used to go on uh what is it called? What is it called? I used to go on missions, so to speak. I used to go on reconnaissance missions. And there was times where I actually saved souls that was trapped in the prison. And I actually met one of these souls, a few weeks after I saved them, which I thought was really interesting. So I've done these missions and shapeshift and really tapped into my abilities. And so it's just so much fun when I allow myself to do this. And so, yeah, so to answer your question, sometimes it's by choice, other times it's a summoning. It's like, we need to speak with you. So, it's always one or the other.
When they summon you, what is that like?
It's mostly in dream state when I get summoned. There have been times where I say, and this went off for quite a while, a couple of years ago, where it was expressed, Hillis, you have to go to bed at this time because you need to be asleep by a certain time so you can go and be in this window and go to the council and go do the work you're supposed to do. And then as I fall asleep, I am in that space and I do what I'm supposed to do. I remember bits and pieces, but when I come back, I don't remember anything in this reality. I remember pieces, but not the entirety of it. And even now, I am going through an initiation process. And in that initiation process, I have to follow certain guidelines and rules as well.
Can you say any more about that initiation process?
I wish I could, honestly. And it's interesting. I met one other person, and this information was given to me by reading that back early this year that I would be going through this process. And oddly enough, about 2 months ago, I met someone else who's going through the same initiation. I'm like, what are the odds of that? And so now it's I can definitely say it's a tremendous purge, but it's also preparing me for something greater that's about to happen. And that's pretty much all I can really say about this galactic initiation, if you will.
Well, so yeah, I've learned a lot about you, Hillis, that I didn't know, and um, there's a lot going on that I wasn't aware of. I'm happy that we've been having this conversation.
Me
So,
too.
what else do you see in your? What else do you? What other plans do you have for the future, or do you have other? Where do you think you're going besides? Wherever they take you, where do you think you're going?
Honestly, my space is ever evolving, ever growing. And, part of my purpose is to walk the path of the masters, step into the space of mastery to really understand, with the full capabilities of this physical body. And yes, it's challenging, stepping into really understanding, knowing what telekinesis is, or pyrokinesis and levitation and teleportation, all the things that the masters have done and studied. So it's really beginning to understand that space. And as I understand it, bring other people with me as I continue to cultivate this space of the Omni Order that's in the infancy, that I will begin to share with people soon.
So the two students that you have now, would they be brought into the Omni Order? Is that part of what is that part
I'm
of what
thinking so. I really haven't quite cultivated it yet, but this would be the next phase for those who are wanting to. And then there are people that may want to enter this that may not have received my attunement that could qualify for this as well. So right now it's pretty the how it's shaping up is open, because it's the path to mastery. And in that path to mastery, there's many ways to get there. It's not just a singular path.
So you have 2 students now. Have you
Mhm.
had other students previously that have
I
gone
have,
through the training? So
I
about
have.
how many of them are out there in the world, or
Well, I know there. So this is the thing. When someone receives the attunement, they can do whatever they want. They don't have to necessarily practice like I do, because that's how they utilize it in their day-to-day life. And right now, there are 2 others out there that are attuned to this, but they aren't necessarily practicing day-to-day at the level that I am. I mean, it's, you can utilize it, however you see fit. So it's not just not like Reiki where you get it and it's like, okay, what am I going to do with it now?
So how would someone connect with you if they wanted to take these
Work with me.
courses?
So the best way to get a hold of me is go to my website, hillispugh.com, or to see everything about me, go to taplink.cc/Hillis Pugh. And then that way they get to learn more about me, see all my videos, all my content, to learn more about this particular practice.
And also if they wanted to have a reading with you or a healing or a session of some kind, is it the
Same
same?
way, same way. I make it easy for people.
So this has been really interesting, Hillis. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I really am kind of impressed with all of the things you're doing and all of the places you're going. So can you again give your contact information one more time?
Sure, it's my name, hillispugh.com, where you can find all information. But to get a hold of my socials, you can just find me at Hillis Pugh, Google my name, you find everything about me. Or you can go to taplink.cc/my name, Hillis Pugh, and you can find everything there as well. Especially my events. That's a good place to find all my events.
Thank you. That's good. And if anybody out there wants to reach me, they can contact me through the New York Edgar Casey Center. The email there is info@edgarcaseynyc.org. And I'm going to spell that because Casey is not necessarily spelled the way people expect. So it's info, INFO, at EDGARCAYCENYC.org, info@edgarcasey.org. So this has been really interesting, Hillis. I am really surprised and kind of amazed at um, and it's quite interesting to talk to somebody who's one of only 2 practitioners on this planet at this time of the Syrian Lemurian approach. So thank you for sharing with me tonight, and it's been very interesting.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much. It's always a great pleasure to connect and reconnect with you.
Thank you both for a very interesting and informative hour. I wish you both success in all your endeavors, and I'm looking forward to listening to your show again. I'm a Lemnian Greek. That's where Jason the Argonauts landed, the land of the Amazon women. It's also where Hephaestus um, lost some fire to Prometheus, who brought it to mankind. And
No.
the Syrian energies, the Syrian mystery, as Robert Temple called it, is very much a part of the Argonaut story, because the
Yep.
Argonauts left children on the island before they proceeded on with their quest.
And
And
all the oracles too.
yes, and the Nomo from the Dogon myths, the land of the
You know.
Nomo, or they're called the Kabidi in Greek. That was near Lemnos also, and an underwater kingdom. So a lot of that information came from the Argonauts and from the surrounding waters of Lemnos. So one day I'd
Yeah.
like to invite you on the show and we could explore that aspect of the Syrian mystery.
Yeah, and actually, I'm actually reading, and I have to probably go back and reread it because I've been so busy. I'm reading the Syrian Mysteries book right now.
By Robert Temple. Yeah, it's a great book.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
well, again, thank you so very much. This was awesome. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you both, and thank you, Hercules, and
Thank you,
thank you so
guys.
much, Hillis.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye-bye.